I heard a boom, and then I happened to look out, and I said, oh man, look, the tree.
Powerful, stunningly beautiful, and deadly. Arizona's monsoon comes sweeping in without warning.
Unleashing pounding rain, fierce lightning, and towering dust storms, turning our serene desert into a danger zone.
Ever changing, the monsoon brings a season of high temps, high winds, high moisture, and high danger.
Thank you for joining us for this 12 News Monsoon 2020 special. We're here to make sure you don't get caught off guard by Mother Nature. As we've been telling you, wild storms can pop up out of nowhere. The day can start off sunny, but by dinner time, it's dusty, muddy, windy, and rainy. Team 12's William Pitts shows us 4 dangers of the monsoon and how to keep you and your family safe.
It's like driving in the dark and you're blind.
It's like an orange cloud that swallows everything. And you should avoid, number 1, dust storms whenever they pop up. During the monsoon season, dust storms usually come from the south, from Tucson all the way up. So we have a pretty good warning of when they're coming. And ADOT has a new system watching for those storms by Picacho Peak. It can measure visibility and will drop the speed limit on the road down to 35. But if you do drive into a dust storm, you should not keep your lights on. You should pull over to the side of the road, turn them all off, and take your foot off the brake.
Turning off the lights might sound counterintuitive, but if you're stuck inside blowing dust and visibility is low, you don't want people to use your car with its lights on as a beacon and think that you found the way out.
Sometimes that dust storm is followed by number 2, heavy rains. Underpasses get flooded all the time. Roads get washed out.
Because it only takes a few inches of water to, float your car down the street or somewhere else or trap you.
No, I'm just holding on to you.
3, flash flooding can happen anywhere, even if it's sunny and dry. In the desert, the water can flow miles away from the storm.
Do not cross the flooded roadway. That's where we see people get into all sorts of problems every year.
A couple of inches of rain doesn't really sound like a big deal, but it is. 6 inches of water can make your car lose traction on the road. 12 inches of water can pick up a small car and float it away. And if number 4, lightning starts, you should get out of there. Not laying down, no finding low ground.
To be honest, if you're out there during a lightning storm, there's just not a good place to be. There's no really good advice to give you. Get into some kind of shelter, whether it's a house, whether it's a car, something that's going to afford you some protection.
Arizona averages more than 500,000 lightning strikes each monsoon. No wonder Arizona's wildfire season flares up during the early stages of monsoon when it's also very dry and hot. Though lightning only sparks about 10% of wildfires, on average they burn 9 times the amount of acres compared to human-caused wildfires. For the first time, new technology is making it possible to pinpoint the kind of lightning that's prone to starting fires in the snap of a finger. Arizona is home to some of the most stunning lightning strikes in the entire world. It's also home to the first lightning detection system, invented in Tucson in 1976. Vaisala is the developer behind it and is now the largest meteorological instrument builder in the world with a groundbreaking new invention.
The product that has been developed is called continuing current dataset. Continuing current means that the lightning is transferring more electric charge to whatever it's in touch with.
Most lightning strokes last on the order of millionths of a second. But strokes with continuing current, are still too fast for you to catch the difference with your eye, but they last much longer, causing dramatic heating. Ground detection data and satellite sensors can pick up on that difference. The new technology takes the two and can display them in an instant in a number of different ways, such as in a graphic like this, where the red squares mark the lightning with continuing current. These handful of strokes are likely behind igniting the Bighorn fire that blackened the Santa Catalina Mountains and became one of the top 10 largest wildfires in Arizona history.
If wildfire management organizations have access to this data, it would enable them to better target resources and perhaps get to events before they get out of control.
Thanks, Crystal. Now let's learn a little bit more about 12 News meteorologist Lindsay Riley.
My My name is Lindsay Riley. I'm a meteorologist for 12 News, and I've been covering weather for 13 years. So I have loved weather ever since I can remember. I mean, I was 3 or 4 years old and obsessed with the weather, and instead of watching cartoons, I would turn on the Weather Channel, and then when my mom was cooking dinner, I would go tell her what was gonna happen across the entire country. So I was practicing my weather report since I've been 4 or 5 years old. My first job was in Buffalo, New York. I was 6 months into my career, and we had a massive snow and wind event. And we're talking like 60-mile-an-hour winds over Lake Erie. That was the most wild weather event I've ever covered outside the studio. My favorite part about Arizona is just the diversity. I mean, you can go 2 hours north and be in pine trees and mountains and snow-capped peaks, and then you can stay right here in the valley and see saguaro cactus, and there's just so much to do. We have lakes here, hiking, great restaurants, so there's so much to do, and it just keeps life interesting. I love weather. I love what I do. I've had a passion for this since I've been a little kid, and that passion has only grown now that I've gotten to forecast in different cities, and I've always got my eye on the weather and what's going on.
Oh my God, it's crazy.
Coming up on this 12 News Monsoon Special, we're taking a look at microbursts and what exactly makes them so destructive.
If a downed power line comes in contact with your vehicle, stay inside. It's the safest place for you to be. Just hang tight and wait for help to arrive.
You're watching the 12 News 2020 Monsoon Special.
During a monsoon storm, a microburst is a downdraft in a thunderstorm that is less than 2.5 miles in scale. Some microbursts can pose a threat to life and property. Although microbursts are not as widely recognized as tornadoes, they can cause similar and in some cases worse damage.
As you just saw, microbursts can be devastating. Let's dig a little deeper on how exactly a microburst forms. Inside a thunderstorm, there is an updraft and a downdraft. Sometimes a downdraft can be small and localized, and when it is less than 2.5 miles in diameter and can cause damage, it can be classified as a microburst. Processes such as dry air entrainment and water loading can contribute to this. I will define those terms in just a second. Wind speeds downward can reach 150 miles per hour, and this can pose major problems for pilots because most microbursts can happen very quickly. It can also cause major property damage and damage to structures and vegetation. There are 2 types of microbursts. The first one is a dry microburst. This is caused by dry air entrainment, which brings on the evaporational cooling that is necessary to cause a microburst. The precipitation completely evaporates within the downdraft, and when the core collapses, the wind at the surface will be seen with no precipitation. This typically happens with high-based thunderstorms. The second type of microburst is a wet microburst. This is caused by dry air entrainment, which brings on the evaporational cooling, and water loading, which is when the precipitation in the updraft is too heavy to be suspended. These 2 processes work together and will cause the core of the thunderstorm to come crashing down. Now let's talk lightning. When thunder roars, go indoors. If you can hear thunder, you're close enough to the storm to be struck by lightning. When it comes to Arizona's monsoon, lightning is the most unpredictable weather hazard. Out of all the national parks in the country, the one that sees the most lightning is right in our backyard. It's the Grand Canyon. According to the National Lightning Detection Network, lightning can strike 15,000 times per year. So yes, lightning can hit the same place twice. Most of the lightning strikes hit the highest point, which are the rims, and the highest frequency of strikes is during the monsoon season.
Thanks for those lightning facts, Lindsay. Now let's learn a little bit about 12 News meteorologist Crystal Henderson.
Hi,
Hi, I'm meteorologist Crystal Henderson with 12 News, and I've been forecasting weather for more than a decade. Most people say, Arizona, probably not a weather person's paradise or playground, but it's very much the opposite for me. Since I was little, I remember being so fascinated by the monsoon and wanting to learn more and know more about Mother Nature's mysterious ways here in Arizona during the monsoon, and that was the first spark that got me wanting to study weather. My favorite thing about weather is the mystery of it. I'm so fascinated, and I love how much we have yet to learn and that we're continuing to learn and grow in this field.
It looks like we went from the desert to the tropics.
How could I not say that my viral video was the moment that was the most memorable for me? I remember being up on the 7th floor, editing a story that had nothing to do with weather, when all of a sudden I look out the window and there is storms racing this way, and I have managers running over to my desk. Quick, grab an umbrella, get downstairs, you're live in a few minutes.
I mean, looking at this storm approaching from the east, it looked like doomsday. And there goes my hat.
So I hung on for dear life like Mary Poppins in a nightmare movie. Hey, that's monsoon for you. It could serve up some wild stuff at a moment's notice. So for anybody who says Arizona's weather is just hot and dry, oh, you meteorologists are probably just kicking your heels up, twiddling your thumbs during the summer. This is game on time.
Dust storms, haboobs, and dust devils. Coming up on this 12 News 2020 Monsoon Special, things are getting dirty. A dust storm is a meteorological phenomenon where a gust front or downdraft winds from a thunderstorm can loft sand, dust, and dirt as high as 5,000 feet in the air. This intimidating wall of dust can move up to 60 miles per hour, bringing visibility from good to zero in just seconds. Dust storms are common in dry areas with little vegetation, which means our desert is a perfect place for you to see one, especially during the monsoon. Other terms you may hear when it comes to blowing dust are dust devil and haboobs. Dust devils are much smaller and are formed from rapid heating and rising air at the surface. They typically happen on sunny days. A haboob is another name for a dust storm. The term originates in the Middle East and refers to dust storms in the Sahara and Arabian Peninsula.
Thanks for that dusty explainer, Lindsay. Now let's learn a little bit more about our meteorologist, Jamie Cagle.
My name is Jamie Cagle. I'm a meteorologist here at Channel 12, and I've been forecasting weather on air for over 20 years now. What got me interested in weather was just, I think, the common curiosity that kids probably have about weather. But I had two parents that were teachers or had teaching backgrounds, so when I had questions, they showed me how to get the answers, and it just kind of grew from there. I think as far as one of those weather events that really stands out in my mind and really kind of resonates with my memory was August 1st and August 24th, 2006. I still remember the days. Major tornado events in southern Minnesota, F3, F4s. Powerful tornadoes that devastated some communities, some incredible damage, and covering it by myself on air for upwards of 4 hours. My favorite thing about weather, at least weather forecasting, is that day-to-day challenge of getting it right, figuring it out, building the forecast. A lot of us build it on our own, and it is our product. So there's a lot riding on it. There's your reputation is there, and the trust of your viewers also rides on those forecasts to get it right. I like the idea that I can help people through a bad weather, severe weather episode, and we can get people through whatever event it is, and we can give them as much information as possible so people either feel reassured, or people take the appropriate action, or people just understand what's going on.
12 News is home to the exclusive monsoon meter. But how does it work? We're about to show you. remember, we didn't get a whole lot of rain last year. Here's a look back at our monsoon and some things to keep in mind if you're ever caught in a storm.
First, it went from day to night. Then it went from complete dryness to now I am soaked.
Are you ready for the whipping winds, daunting dust storms, and electric light shows? If you don't remember, Monsoon 2019 was one for the record books. No, not because we had so much rain during last year's monsoon, more like it was a non-soon. We didn't even see our first measurable rainfall until July 24th last year. According to the National Weather Service, we saw our 9th driest and 3rd warmest monsoon on record for the Southwest. Usually, Arizona gets 30 to 60% of our annual rainfall during monsoon. We're talking nearly 3 inches of rain for the valley and as much as 12 inches or more for the mountains. But get this, last year Phoenix only totaled 2/3 of an inch. As for what we can expect during this monsoon, well, it's really anyone's guess. The National Weather Service says since there's no El Nino or La Nina, we have no clear signal as to how much rain we should get. However, climate prediction models do show it's going to be warmer than normal this monsoon. Whatever we get, we want you to be prepared because a monsoon storm can intensify at a moment's notice.
It looks like we went from the desert to the tropics in the middle of a hurricane.
When it comes to the monsoon, our goal here at 12 News is to keep you and your family safe and informed. That's why we use our exclusive 12 News monsoon meter. Here's how it works. We know that the monsoon season affects Arizona in different ways depending on where you live. So we separate the state into 5 distinct regions and examine the probability of monsoon thunderstorms for northern Arizona, western Arizona, the Valley, the White Mountains, and southeast Arizona. That gives us the ability to pinpoint the chances for damaging winds, blinding dust, torrential downpours, and flash flooding for those different terrains and locations around the state. This is our way of digging deeper into the severe weather forecast and giving you that crucial information you need to stay safe.
As you've seen, Arizona's monsoon is a beautiful but deadly force. Our goal is to make sure you and your family are safe when wild weather erupts.
So make sure you stay informed about any approaching storms. Follow us on 12 News, 12news.com, and all of our social media channels.
Thank you for joining us for this 12 News 2020 Monsoon Special.